Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Today we are looking at one of the strongest or the best Druid build guide for Season 4. It's the Werenado Druid, a fan favorite. You're basically just walking around as a bear or as a wolf. There's a lot of shape-shifting buffs, so you're actually switching the forms as you can see here in this video footage. And you're actually just destroying the monsters with your tornadoes. And this build is dealing hundreds of millions of damage. You see every twister here is ticking for multiple millions, and you can like keep stacking them up together. You see here 7-10 million. And this footage here right now is Pit 200, hardest content in the game. I will link it in the description. And yeah, the build is just amazing. And the main reasons that make this build possible, and like the full in-depth build guides and choices that we use here, we're gonna look into it right now, and we're gonna finish watching this this footage here later. I'm gonna link it in the description. Big shout out here to I can't pronounce his name, but I'm gonna put his link in the description. Who recorded this? And yeah, it's looking to be one of the only two S tier builds for the next season. Werenado Druid, and I have some math and also the full planner here. So first of all, what makes this build so strong? We have a new unique that has just been introduced into the game. It's called the Wild Heart Hunger. And this one is giving you, whenever you shapeshift into the werewolf form or a werebear form, you get wild heart stacks that increase your damage by a significant amount. It's 20 stacks, 1.5 multiplier, so a total of 30 1.3 multiplicative damage. And you guys can see here in the footage that this buff is active all the time. At the beginning, he stacks it up, and the buff just remains active throughout the run. It's also amazing at single target, killing the hardest bosses here in the game. This is Uber Greg, the hardest boss in the game. This guy has 2.5 billion life, and he's killing it in about 5 seconds. You guys can see here the ticks. 15 million, 17 million even sometimes, and yeah, the boss is already dead. And you guys can see here, this buff is active at all times, and the DPS of this build is just out of this world. And yeah, the contribution is for once the boots. Then we have, I made a full sheet here. So the new boots are 1.3 multiplier. Then we have willpower increase from the PTR. We have additive damage increase from the PTR. We have a new affix here, and I've shown this here on the weapon. It's chance to cast a tornado projectile twice. So you can see in this video here how many damage numbers are popping up and how many tornadoes and twisters he is spawning. And that is thanks to this affix here. We didn't have this before, so it gives a 77% chance if you get a perfect roll. Basically, it's a straight up multiplier because you have 77% more tornadoes, and that means you're dealing 77% more damage. And then the final note here, and this one is also insane because with the temper numbers, we are getting a lot of close and distant damage. And there is this Thunderstruck note here in the Paragon tree, and this one is giving you multiplicative damage on top of the already additive damage that you're getting from close and distant, and is scaling this as a multiplier. So storm skills, which tornado is obviously a storm skill, scales with this one whenever you have close and distant damage. It essentially double dips with close and distant, and it gives you a very strong multiplier. In this screenshot, I didn't even have the full multiplier, so you can get almost up to 200% if you're really stacking and masterworking it. But for example, on the weapon, you want to masterwork Thunderstruck. You want to masterwork the chance to spawn tornado rather than the close damage. But if you have good rolls, you can reach about 2.5x multiplier. That would mean 150% on the Thunderstruck node. It can even go higher, but basically it's doubling your damage again. And then if you're taking all these multipliers here together, you are getting a damage increase of about 8 times. So this build is 8 times stronger than the version of the build that you may have played before in Season 3 or on the Eternal Realm. And it can melt bosses, it can melt the hardest pit content, at least as of now, and it's just really strong. So let's watch the rest of the pit run and then go over the planner in full detail. So you guys can see here The build is a bit reliant on Tempest Roar, so if you don't have Tempest Roar, it's not the best because you're not shapeshifting as much without Tempest Roar. So Tempest Roar is really, really good for this build and pretty much required. So this is not the best starter build. In terms of starting out on this class, on Druid, you want to be playing the Pulverized build because it's also the starter set. And you guys can see here, this guy is plowing through the hardest pit here and killing the boss here within a few seconds and actually doing a sub 2 minutes pit 200, you guys can see here. So that is insanely strong and just looks, frankly, like a ton of fun to play. The build has insane AoE. It has auto-aim because the twisters seek the targets auto-magically. It has good unstoppable uptime. It has good movement speed and just strong build overall with insane damage. Yeah, one of the few S tier builds this season. It's just so far ahead of most other builds. And yeah, if you like this like fan favorite classic build, Season 4 is for you. So let's go over the planner. So as we already discussed, this is a very DPS focused build. So you're rocking Tempest Roar. This one you can get on Duriel as well as Andariel. And it's still going to be tough to farm, but you can basically target farm it so you're not completely based on RNG. Like you can actually get this helm, right? Then we have the Juggernaut aspect. This one you can also replace. And it's rather easy to replace and get another defensive aspect. It might be better in the long term to just replace this and get total armor and get another easy armor roll. And then you can just get another defensive aspect basically in here. There's like many options how you can shift this around. You just don't want your Paragon to be focused much on armor. You can still take some, but you're gonna be in general overcapped with armor. So I actually think now looking at this, we definitely want to be playing with the vigorous aspect here. No Juggernaut. We just get armor, total armor and normal armor, and we're actually getting the vigorous aspect here for extra damage reduction. And also spirit per second is one of the new stats. You guys can see this build is very resource hungry as we stack a lot of attack speed. But once we are in the run, our spirit replenishes very fast because we get spirit per second and we also get spirit per lucky hit on our Tempest Roar here. But this spirit per second is an insane buff to this build's resources. I would still recommend you rocking a resource cost reduction on the weapon because it rolls insanely high. I think I have the image here. Yeah, it rolls 50% resource cost. So your Tornado actually only costs half the resource if you have a greater FX resource cost reduction. That is much recommended. And then we have the Storm Chaser here. This one makes the Tornadoes auto-aim. Obviously, we're stacking attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. We are rocking Tywood's Will here. We are getting plenty of unstoppables with Trample. Then we have the new boots that we already talked about, big multiplier. And this one, you can see in the footage, is also refreshing itself. So the duration, as long as you keep attacking, is going to refresh for all the stacks. So once you're like a few seconds into the run, you're always going to have 20 stacks of this, giving you a 1.3 multiplier basically on top of everything. So you basically have an offensive slot in your boots, but it also gives you damage reduction and movement speed. And damage reduction is really, really hard to come by these days. And then the new thing that we are doing on this build is we're actually rocking with triple pets. So we are playing Poison Creeper, Ravens, and Wolves. We're doing this because we are rocking Shepherd's Aspect, and this is the highest multiplier that we have. It's giving us on a two-hander, it's giving us a 1.2x for every pet that we have. And we have, because we are rocking Aspect of the Stampede, we are getting 2 Poison Creepers, we're getting 4 Ravens, that's 6, and we are getting 3 Wolves, that's 9. So we're getting 9 times 2, we're actually getting a 2.8x multiplier from this and this aspect. And it's really strong. Attack speed, willpower, resource cost reduction, and then we are rocking, this should be, excuse me, this should be an X, 200x. And the damage percent most likely is we want close. Like you can choose between close. You see close rolls 85. We don't have the final numbers, close or distant. Distant is a bit higher, but we're mainly going to be close to the target. So we really want to rock close damage here. Yeah, I have close here as well. We have close here, close here, close here. You can also take a few distant rolls if you want, because it rolls a bit higher for your Thunderstruck. But definitely close, because you just... I recommend close because of the boss fights. You guys can see here, like also on this boss, like you're always on top of the boss, casting your twisters, so they casting your tornado, so they instantly hit him, right? So I think close damage, even though it rolls a bit less for Thunderstruck multiplier, is the play. Then we are rocking Retaliation here. This one gives you a 1.45x when you're fortified. And we have various sources of fortify, such as Trample, and just the overall very solid build for this kind of stuff. Then we're rocking the Stampede. We already talked about that. It's in combination with Shepherds and an accelerating aspect for this insane attack speed that you can see. And that's why we need a lot of resource cost reduction here. And we're getting it. Then on the Spirit Boons here, they actually buffed the Wariness here, Elite Damage Reduction. This has been buffed from 10 to 15%, so this is very welcome. Damage reduction is hard to come by now, so we want to take the most of the stuff that we have. Life multiplier, crit damage multiplier. We get more Spirit here with Energize, and then cooldown reduction for ultimate, because we're using the Petrify for just extra DPS. Very strong stuff, and you guys can see here how he is blasting this in the on the boss fights. You basically just bump, he engages the boss. This is mainly a boss killer version that I made here in the planner. The pit version is going to be slightly different. But you guys can see here, he mainly dumps all his cooldown and boom, just melts the boss. There's many different setups you can use. And I think this is a good overall, but very DPS orientated setup that I always prefer. Yeah, in terms of gems, you just want to cap your res with your Paragon. For the defensive side, you don't need any armor gems if you are rocking armor and armor percent. You already had the new 9,000, what is it, 9,300, 9,200. I think it's 30, the new armor cap. I think it's 9,200, 9,230 or 40. So as long as you have that, you're gonna be good. And then life percent here, 9% life is insane, vulnerable here. Skill tree is looking like this. So they did actually fix the wild impulses. So this one gives you a 15x multiplier. Costs a bit more spirit, but we are fine because we have a lot of spirit. Hey, thanks chat, lucky. Okay, it's 9,230 is the armor cap. Then we're rocking Tornado maxed, obviously here. Vulnerable for the bosses. Multiplier for DPS. This is also why I want to be close. Movement speed always helps. Damage reduction, resistances. Again, damage reduction hard to come by, so we definitely want to be using this. Wolves, Poison Creeper, Ravens. We want the upgrades here. On Wolves, we don't need the upgrades. We just use this to get the pets, but this one also gives us an additional 20% crit chance. So very good. Yeah, some extra vulnerable here, never hurts. Do you have the Trample? This is the strongest one, and Venom. This is also the one that actually you want to have on the amulet. I think we have attack speed cap anyways. You want to be a bit careful that you don't over stack your attack speed, because you're already getting a 50% here. Accelerating goes in the second cap, but you have 100% additive cap here with all the attack speed rolls. So just make sure you're not over the cap. If you have very, very high rolls, you can just consider rolling willpower or lucky hit on one of the pieces instead of attack speed. If you have very good rolls and you are actually getting over the cap. Then here we're rocking Petrify, we're rocking all the nature stuff because our Tornado is nature magic. And then we are rocking the shapeshift. We are shapeshifting between Werewolf, which is our true form, and between Werebear, which we get from Trample. And then finally, as the key passive, we are rocking Bestial Rampage. This also helps us with the shapeshifting. We're actually getting both of the buffs. We're getting attack speed, and we are getting a 1.5x multiplicative. Paragon board, we're rocking Keeper here. We're rocking Ancestral Guidance. We're rocking Earth and Sky. We're rocking Fang and Claw. We're rocking Outmatch here. And then the note that we already talked about, Thunderstruck. Again, planner is going to be in the description. Exploit here for the vulnerable stuff. And then up here, territorial. Again, we always want to be close to the enemy. And we are rocking the spirit for the extra crit damage multiplier. So yeah, that's the build, guys. Again, strong S tier build. I'm really looking forward to be playing this one again. I think the last time I played Werenado was back in Season 1. And this is just so much better whirlwind / tornado barb than the barb is now after all the nerfs. But I think the Werenados should mainly stick to the druid. Like, it's more of a caster class than the barb. I didn't feel that good with the barb having actually stronger, you know, caster builds than the actual caster class like a druid. So I'm very happy to see this druid rock. Like, I think the barb dust devil still will remain strong, but the real twister build is this druid, I think, as it should be. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and are you gonna rock this build? I think it's really cool. See, it's a bit squishy, so toughness, we'll have to see, but the DPS output, especially on the bosses here, is completely insane. Like 15 million, ticking like 5 times a second, 6 times a second, I don't know how much, but it's probably even more than that, so it's about 500 million, half a billion DPS, and yeah, very strong build again. Big shout out here. I'm gonna put this guy's channel here in the description. Go give him a sub, leave him a like. He made a lot of cool druid builds on the PTR, and hopefully he will continue to do so for the next season. I will for sure post more guides. This tier list is still a draft, guys, but I'm gonna be updating it here the next days. Hope you're having a fantastic season start, and I'll see you soon. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.